Here. So we're going to evaluate some more functions that are not acute angles, but we're going to use reference angles with our non-acute angles to help us figure out our values. You can also use just your, if your knowledge of your unit circle to help you figure these out. In order to find a value of trig function, one way you can do is you could determine the function value of the reference angle. So remember, your reference angles are less than 90 degrees, so they're 30, 60, or 45. And then you can use your values that correspond with those angles, and which is like your radical 3 over 2, your 1/2, radical 2 over 2, and all that fun stuff. And then whatever quadrant you are in, you're going to affix, that's a nice word, you're going to give the value the appropriate sign. So if you could draw a reference angle here, for example 5, and I'll show you how to do that. So if we were in 4 pi over 3, that is in quadrant 3. So if you are in quadrant 3, you would draw a triangle that is going like this, and your reference angle, your theta prime would be 4 pi over 3 minus pi over 3, minus pi, which is a pi over 3, because this becomes a 3 over 3. So that means that your reference angle here is a pi over 3. Well, if that's a pi over 3, that means a 60-degree angle. That means this is radical 3 over 2. This is a 1/2, and since we're in the third quadrant, both of these. So if we want to figure out the cosine, our cosine is your x value. Then you would say the cosine of 4 pi over 3 is just a negative 1/2. And you get that answer. Now for B, we need to figure out our reference angle here. If you're at a negative 210 degrees, that is 360 minus 210. That puts you at 150 degrees. So if we're going to figure out a reference angle, 150 degrees puts us in quadrant 2. You're going to take 180 degrees minus 150. And so that's going to give you 30 degrees. It's going to give you a 30-degree angle. So if you draw a triangle in your second quadrant, so you draw your triangle here, you're going to end up with, this is 30 here, and across from your 30 is always a 1/2. That's got to be smaller than what's across from your 60, which is radical 3 over 2. And so what we have here is, if we're talking about our tangent, this is going to be our, not our x or y, but it's going to be our y over x. So y over x is a 1/2 divided by negative radical 3 over 2. In order to simplify this, you got to multiply top and bottom by the reciprocal. So you have a negative 2 over radical 3, negative 2 over radical 3. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Gives you just a negative 1 over radical 3. So there's your answer. This also, remember, could be simplified if you rationalize both top and bottom. Multiply top and bottom by radical 3, that gives you a radical 3 over 3. So if you're checking your answers in the back of your book, same answer. All right, last one here. 5C, if you have an 11 pi over 4, that is the same as having a 2 and 3/4 pi. So if you have a 2 and 3/4 pi, basically if you go around your circle one time, you're at 2 pi, and then you gotta go 3/4, which would put you in quadrant 2. So in this case, your reference angle is a 3 pi over 4. Now, you could do this with drawing a triangle, but if you're really good at your circle, you're gonna know at 3 pi over 4, you're gonna know you have an ordered pair of negative radical 2 over 2, comma, radical 2 over 2. So when you do this, if you want to know your cosecant is the reciprocal of your sine, which is a 1 over y, or you just take your sign, which is a positive radical 2 over 2, and just flip that over. That's going to give you a positive 2 over radical 2. And there is your answer. So a couple different ways you can do this. If it helps you to draw the triangles, if you just know your values around your unit circle, then that can work as well. It's entirely up to you, unless the directions tell you to do differently.